So Darren, your second away defeat in a few days. What's your reaction to that 90 minutes?
Well, it's a couple of games we've had we knew would be tough in terms of we haven't got a league game for a while now. So it's a disappointing return to 0 points out of 6, obviously. It's an obvious thing to say. The manner of the defeat tonight, the tempo in the first half was nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near the standards that we've set, nowhere near what I expect from them. It was just so slow, and we addressed that at half-time. We got to the last minute of the first half and we've conceded an awful goal. And that's a turning point, to concede so late in the half. You get in at half-time and you address what you want to address. Another turning point is obviously the penalty that's saved, a really poor penalty. And we huffed and puffed, but no, it was... First half was so frustrating for me because I sat upstairs to get a better view, and it almost seemed at times as if it was like a pre-season game. They didn't play at a tempo, so we just played exactly the same tempo. We needed to quicken things up, we needed to move the ball quicker, we needed to get it wider. We played with a bit more width tonight. We wanted to make sure we doubled up on the outside of them, and we just couldn't. We didn't do it well enough.
What do you put that down to? Is it the change of formation, which, as you mentioned, doubling up on the wide area seemed to benefit you at times, or is it just players not taking responsibility for possession of the ball?
Listen, I'm the first to come out here and say I hold responsibility. I'm the manager. Well, it had nothing to do with the formation. The formation was absolutely perfect to set up against this formation. We had width against our wing backs, and we played Marcus wide right, where he's played most of his career. We played George wide left, and 2 centre midfield players, and it had nothing to do with that. It was the fact that the whole thing was the tempo and the quality of the passing. And in the first half was a bit of a drab affair, I have to say, and we made it that way. The game was there for us to take because, you know, as the home team, they didn't really cause us many problems apart from the one when Benno's just missed the ball. But we played at the same tempo, so that was frustrating. And in the second half, it was obviously I got into them at half time a bit. We get the penalty, we get that, obviously. It helps. I made the substitutions. I thought Kanu was lively. I thought Dembele was at least lively. So, look, it's a disappointing evening. But one thing I'm absolutely certain on, it absolutely nothing to do with the tactics.
And the people that you brought in, you mentioned that one moment for Bennett, but other than that, him and Thompson did very well, didn't
Thompson
they?
was our best player. Outstanding. He tired towards the end, of which we thought he would. He was aggressive. He looked like he wanted to keep his shirt. He was at it. From the first moment, he just went bang. There was quality on the ball. He's a good player. I mean, I think I said at the time, I was surprised how we got him. He's had to wait, because obviously he didn't do a pre-season. Then when he came into the Doncaster game, he got injured, and he's had to be patient. Niall's done fine, but Tom was coming in, and I thought he was a big positive tonight. I thought Kanu was a positive when he came on. But, you know, we just didn't find a rhythm in the first half because the tempo was so slow, and it was nothing really happened in the first half, and we have to make things happen. People have to take responsibility. So it's a disappointing night, and disappointing because we've fallen below standards of late in the last 2 games. Obviously the game on Saturday with the individual mistakes led to goals, whereas tonight, you know, it wasn't really a case of that. Again, I don't think my goalkeepers had much to do, but neither did theirs. That was the problem.
I know you said you don't want to use referee performances as an excuse, but there were a couple of questionable decisions for both sides this evening, and the scissor tackle on Tony, which seemed to upset him and be a spark for them, was another one, wasn't it?
Yeah, listen, I don't know. I'm not going to... I actually thought the referee was fine. I have no complaints about the referee's performance. I've got to concentrate more on my players' performance. So listen, it's a disappointing result. There's no question about that. We knew it would be a tight game. We knew they didn't concede many goals. I felt the first goal would be an important one. We had opportunities on the counter from the first moment when Marcus has had a shot and George Boyd's clean through. I mean, he is clean through. I'm sat in the stand, you get a better view. So the decision making at times was wrong. Some of our players are not performing anywhere near as well away from home as they are at home, and that's going to be an issue, obviously, because play as many games away than you do as at home, so we have to address that. So we had a little bit of a sticky spell. We've started this set of 15 games the same as we started the first. We haven't obviously got a league game for a while now, but we've obviously got the cup game on Saturday, which is an important game for us.
And also an opportunity for maybe for you to try something different, or to at least try different personnel? Is that something you have to consider given?
Well, I have to look at the performance of the game. We'll go through it in the morning with the players. As a manager, you have to be very careful about what you say straight after the game. So that in the morning we'll discuss it then, and then I'll have to look at it. But certainly there was some that were again below standards that I expect of them. And to be honest, quite frankly, that surely they would expect of themselves. So I was pleased with one or two of the things I've seen in terms of the substitutions were lively and looked a little bit more energy about them. Thompson was very good. We'll see how he is 2 games in 5 days. I think he'll be okay. But Saturday's a very important game. It's not a game for trying things. We have to get in that 3rd round. That's a bare minimum. Obviously, we first of all got to get in the 2nd round. And when you've lost 2 games and the bounce away from home, the next game is very, very important.
What's the atmosphere like in the change rooms? Are you having to comfort these players? How do you manage the situation after 2 defeats?
Well, you have to manage the situation accordingly, and I do feel that, for whatever reason, there seems to be a lot of hysteria about this club when we lose a game of football. Everyone sort of goes into meltdown, and everyone starts saying, "Oh, everyone needs to calm down. We're not happy we've lost games, but we know what we've got in the squad, and we've got to make sure that we find that again." But certainly the performances of the last 2 games have not been good enough, and quite frankly, it's as simple as that.